All right, this is tonight's homework, the 19th, Tuesday the 19th. We've got some mixed numbers that we need to add and subtract. And the directions on here, there aren't any, but I do want you to simplify and to convert. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first step in adding and subtracting mixed numbers is to convert to an improper fraction. And we do that by going around the world and we multiply, then add. So we have 7 times 3, which is 21, plus 4, which gives us 25. Keep the denominator the same. And then we do the same thing for the next mixed number. Around the world, multiply, add. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8, keeping the denominator the same. And then we're going to bring down our operation sign. The next step is to check our denominators to see if they're common. Because we have the same denominator, we can move on to step 3, which is to add or subtract. And we've got some subtraction here. So I have 25 minus 8, which gives me 17. And then I keep my denominators the same. I will tell you that if you want to use a basic calculator to do these things, that you are allowed to use a basic calculator for these. Because in the next step, you might want it. In the next step, we have to convert back into a mixed number. If they give us a mixed number, they want the answer to be in a mixed number. So to do that, this fraction bar right here means divide. So we've got 17 divided by 7. How many times can 7 go into 17? If you're kind of like, I don't know, you can do 17 divided by 7. And I can get, I don't know if you can see it, you get 2 with a long decimal after it. All we're caring about is that 2, the whole number. So the 7 will go into 17 2 times. And then we're going to ask ourselves, well, what is that going to give us? What is 7 times 2? It's 14. So we're taking 14 pieces out of 17 pieces, giving us 3 left over. And these 3 pieces are the size of 7ths. We keep the denominator. Okay? So our answer is 2 3/7. Number 3, you're going to work out the same way because the denominators are the same, so you're not going to have to change any denominators. You will have to convert and things like that, but the denominators are the same, so you're not going to have to worry about that step there. And number 2, let me slide this so you can see it a little bit better. We have mixed numbers, so step 1 is to convert them to improper by going around the world where we multiply and add. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 gives me 20. Keep my denominator the same. Around the world here, multiply, then add. You've got 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Bring down my operation sign. Okay. My next step is to check my denominators. And I have a denominator of 3 and a denominator of a 6. So I want to find something that's in common. So what I'm first going to do is start with my smaller number. Is there a way for my smaller number to be changed into a 6? Is 6 a multiple of 3? If I skip count by 3, will I ever hit 6? And if I do, I go 3, 6, 9, 12, 18, and so on. I do hit 6, okay? That means I can use 6 as a common denominator. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to change this to a common denominator. So I have 20 thirds that I'm trying to convert into 6. So what do I have to multiply 3 by to get to 6? Well, I went 2 times, so I had to multiply by 2 to get 6. Whatever I do on the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 20 times 2 gives me 40. So now I have 46 minus 7 sixths, which ends up giving me 33 sixths. So I have subtracted here, and then my next step is to convert back into a mixed number. We're going to do that through division because our fraction bar reminds us to divide. So 33 divided by 6, so I can even come over here to my calculator if I need to and do 33 divided by 6 gives me 5 0.5, if you can see that right there. So I'm worried about the whole number, 5. So I know 6 will go into 33 5 whole times. Well, what does that give me? 6 times 5 gives me 30 pieces. So I'm using 30 of the 33, which means I have 3 left over with a denominator of 6. Then I need to check to see if I can simplify my fraction. So to simplify, we use this method called the slide method. So I have 3 and 6. I'm going to put them in the slide. I use the numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13 to test to see if I can go smaller. From this list, which one of these numbers will go into 3 and 6? Well, 2 will go into 6 because it's even, but it won't go into 3. So I'm going to try 3. 3 will go into 3, and 3 will go into 6. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. The numbers are back to back on the number line, and they also hit 1. If you ever hit 1, or if your numbers are back to back, that's as low as your fraction can go. So your fraction ends up being 1/2. So our final answer after all this work is 5 and 1/2. And I know that's a lot of work to get one answer, but it's really just a lot of little steps. And the calculator kind of helps you with that too. So for number 4, you're going to have to do it like you did number 2. You're going to have to around the world, and then you're going to have to change your denominators to make a common denominator there. Okay? And then you're going to have to convert back and see if you can simplify. Now number 5 says you are making 2 recipes. One recipe calls for 3 2/3 cups of flour, and the other calls for 3 5/6 cups of flour. What is the total amount of flour you need to make your recipe? So my important information here is I have 3 2/3 for one, and I have 3 5/6 for the other. And we want to know the total. So we're combining the flour. So what operation is combining? It's addition. So now we just can work our expression. First step is going to be going around the world, multiplying and adding. So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 gives me 11. We're going to go around the world here, multiply and add. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 5 is 23. Bring down my operation sign. I notice my denominators are not the same, so I'm going to have to convert them. And the common denominator, which we've looked over here in question number 2, we had the same denominators, and we found our common denominator was 6. So our 3 needs to be turned to a 6. So our 6, in order for 3 to get to 6, you had to multiply it by 2. And whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So 11 times 2 gives me 22. So now I have 22, 6 plus 23, 6, which ends up giving me 45, 6. And I'm going to move this up here so I have a little bit more room. So I've got 45, 6, and I need to convert it back. So 6 will go into 45. How many times? 7 times, because 6 times 7 gives me 42, which means I have 3 left over. The denominator is 6. And then I need to see if I can simplify. And by now, you should have memorized that 3/6 will always give you 1/2. So our final answer is we're going to change this into 1/2. So our final answer is 7 1/2. Okay. All right, so I want you to do 3 and 4 on your own and see if you can use the steps from 1 and 2 to help you with 3 and 4. And we'll check them tomorrow.